Christy got it?
Or Christy?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if Grant's on or
Oh, that's
not.
right, 'cause we do.
Call them out. Names.
We have Sean Noonan,
Here.
Dr. Hannick,
Just the board members.
just the board member. We have online, we have Dawn.
Here. Here.
In the room,
Is that a here, Don?
Don, the here, Don?
Sheila.
Yeah. We get Sheila?
No.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, Sheila.
here.
All right, Grant, you around? Doesn't sound like it. All right, we got a quorum. But we only have 3 in the room, so we'll have to do roll call votes for the votes here. Any public comment? Anybody send anything in public comment? No. Chairman's report. We got our budget today. We're going to talk about the budget for next year. We'll move on to our approval of our minutes of the special call on Tuesday, July 14th. So move.
Second.
We do a roll call and the vote, and let's show Grant walking in here just in time to roll call of our minutes.
Oh, wow.
I'll help with a roll call.
Member Rutledge,
Christie's getting ready.
Aye.
Noonan,
Aye.
Eckhoff,
Aye.
Pachowski,
Aye.
Start. Aye. Krajewski.
Aye. Okay, minutes are approved. Next, we have our procurement items. I get a motion for recommendation approval of a contract purchase order to Nicor Gas.
So moved.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? So we do a roll call.
Rutledge,
Aye.
Noonan,
Aye.
Eckhoff,
Aye.
Start. Aye. Pachowski,
Aye.
Krajewski.
Aye. Motion carries. And the last one on our agenda here is if I get a motion for recommendation approval of contract with Rosehaven Exotic Veterinarian Services for our on-site and off-site exotic animals. So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments on this one? Okay, we do a roll call.
Rutledge,
Aye.
Noonan,
Aye.
Eckhoff,
Aye.
Start. Aye. Pachowski,
Aye.
Krajewski.
Aye. Motion carries. Move on to our administrative update. Dr. Hannick.
Let's see, last Monday, there was a storm that hit Region pretty hard, and Lombard Veterinary Hospital, we were contacted by them, and then we got 9 dogs over that were boarding over there that we helped board until they kind of got back on their feet, and brought the vehicle over there in case they need it as far as for surgeries or seeing patients and such. So, so that's certainly an option. And then last week, we also finished up, we had 2 vet students, senior vet students that finished a 2-week internship where they did surgery and things like that. And then also a gal at senior in U of I that is applying to vet school. So that's pretty much it.
And we're doing the ferals.
Yeah, Thursday, tomorrow, we have.
And did we ever get the van out into the community?
Well, we had them come to us as part of the vaccination clinic. Yeah, we did what, 50-ish?
Well, that's for feral fixers, right?
No, that was for like low cost
Okay.
vaccination and microchip.
Okay. Laura?
Did on a Sunday.
Yeah, we did on a
That's right, the
Sunday.
Sunday one.
Yeah. So our population, we're still seeing a lower population intake than compared to last year. We're down about 36%. Pardon me. But our numbers have been ticking back up since that June 1st kind of reopening occurred. But we've been managing well. We just said goodbye to our couple interns, as Dr. Hannick mentioned. So it was really nice to be able to have that extra help as that population started increasing. We've had some couple exciting things. We had the stray pig recently that we were just talking about. But overall, really proud of the staff and how they've stepped up, especially in the wake of not having as many volunteers helping us, but our volunteers have been coming back, which has been good. We are still filling a couple open positions, and we're excited to do our budget presentation for you today.
Thanks. And then just a couple other things, since Nick's here also, but we got some language, or we're trying to finalize the lease for the fairgrounds.
Trying to.
And I think it's supposed to be 18 months, not 12.
It'll cover two county fairs.
And so I know we had some language about not allowing the exotic animals out at the fairgrounds. I know the Jim McGuire from the Fair Association sent back some marked up copy. So Laura and I were working on that this week, although it appears what we put in there was fine. Not sure if you understood it. So we sent it. You got that
I got it
today?
back to Nick and Tim. Yeah.
Okay. And then one of the things is, we have the Orange Paw, Orange Star program, which is both.
Or Orange Paw and Star. Yeah.
Orange Paw and Star, but that's where our volunteers come during the week, and they take a number of our dogs with behavioralists and work on training them. They used to do it in the youth home, which has now been converted for our 911 center. So there hasn't been a place for them to do that during the summer, spring, fall. They've been doing it outside, but there's nowhere to go in the wintertime. And I know Nick looked all over campus, couldn't really find a place where it was conducive for them. So we did work with the lease for the fairgrounds expires on the 20th, actually end of this year, 2020. And so we put language in there to allow us to use some facility that Laura and Nick have been working on for them to do the training in the evening, once or twice during the week, during the colder months. So they'll be able to continue to work with. And these are working with the animals that can't really be put up for adoption because they may have some behavioral issues until they either are ready for adoption or to go out to rescues and then find their forever home. I covered it okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so we got our budget presentation today. So Laura.
Ryan, what is that program called? I didn't hear what you called it.
Orange. I always heard it as Orange Star, Orange Paw, Orange Star, and they said it's Orange Paw Star. So I don't know if there's an official name for it.
Yeah, the Orange Paw and our stars are just different classifications of volunteer skill level in terms of how they're working with different dogs. And so we're hopeful that we'll be able to use some space at the fairgrounds to continue that kind of training work with the dogs.
Thank
and
you.
As we get through pre-COVID, I would encourage everybody to go watch them one day. I've been out there a few times when I used to go to the old gym, and it was fascinating, the trainer and how they work with the animals. Watching them do a good job. So the trainers really, once they were telling the volunteers, the dogs, it's amazing how it didn't take long and the dogs were actually listening and doing what they were supposed to be doing. So. Okay, Laura.
Great. Wendy, do I need to cue for slide changes?
Yeah.
Oh, excellent, thank you. So welcome to our 2021 budget presentation. I thought I'd also take this opportunity, given newer board members and kind of the broader audience for the budget presentations, to share some information about what we do, what makes our department unique compared to other county animal service facilities. And next slide, please. Thank you. So we're really proud of the work that we do, and we're grateful for our elected officials, other county staff members, our residents and volunteers for supporting us. And our department believes that saving animals and serving people goes hand in hand. So some key aspects of what our department does is we provide for the enforcement administration of county ordinances as it relates to animals. We operate a shelter for stray and surrendered animals while providing pathways to reunification and responsible rehoming programs. We provide administration of all bite reports in the county, as well as investigating and making determinations on dangerous and vicious dogs. We provide field services to rescue stray, sick, or injured animals and investigate other animal concerns. We monitor and attempt to control the presence of rabies and other zoonotic diseases through enforcement of laws, education, and facilitating testing of high-risk animals. And we want to be a resource to residents on solutions to helping them keep their pets, reducing the unwanted pet population, and understanding how to exist safely with animals. Next slide, please. So we're quite unique compared to other animal control facilities, and we just surveyed some here in the last few weeks. Specifically, as it comes to stray animals, our policies allow us to accept strays not just from unincorporated parts of DuPage County, but our municipal agencies and residents, if they find a pet in an in-town jurisdiction, they can bring those animals to us.
And just to let you know, that middle picture there was dropped off by Bloomingdale last week as a stray, and thanks to board member Noonan, who actually brought it in his squad car as it was loose. But they did, after 3 days, I think, they got the the owner came and rescued it, reclaimed it.
For now.
Yeah, so that's a perfect example of one of our municipal partners being able to bring us a stray animal. There are some animal control agencies that will only accept from unincorporated unless they specifically contract with that town.
Put a rooster up there.
We have had plenty of roosters and chickens as well, yeah.
Goats, llamas.
And I will share too that under certain special circumstances, we will take strays from out of county. We try to discourage that because, you know, an animal is going to have a better chance for reunification if it can stay in the area that it's found. But we do find that residents, whether they're traveling from work or because there's not a lot of options to drop off strays in other parts where maybe we've got Cook County areas really close to DuPage, that they'll come to us, but our policies do allow us to take in those animals. Next slide, please. So our department's also very unique in the high standards of care and the breadth of care that we provide animals in our custody. Many animal control facilities only provide the bare minimum vaccinations and maybe spay-neuter surgeries. But our medical and care team led by Dr. Barbara Hannock here routinely does dental procedures, mass removals like this dog Elaine here, and other specialized procedures and diagnostic work. And we're really grateful to the donors at DuPage Animal Friends that allow us to feel confident that we can provide that care above and beyond the norm.
And I will just say that in years past, before Dr. Hannock got here, we didn't perform the high, complexity of surgeries. They were either sent out or not done at all, or animals were put down for medical purposes. And since the arrival of Dr. Hannock, I don't think there's any medical treatment that's not been performed over there. Dr. Hannock's done a great job, and also with our not-for-profit partner who will actually help fund real specialized services that need to be done outside of that. I think we had German Shepherd go to, we have to Notre Dame, I think, for some heart. Purdue, okay, for some specialized surgery.
So Elaine here was doing great. She had her mass removed and ended up getting adopted. Next slide, please. Thanks. So adoption programs are not mandated. Not all animal control agencies run adoption programs. Some will only transfer out to rescue partners or other licensed humane societies. We believe that our residents and animals benefit from our DuPage County local adoption program because it shortens the length of stay for pets. It reduces the chance of euthanasia for space, which we have heard from our residents they do not want. And it offers an affordable place for people desiring to rescue a pet. Our department uses an all adopters welcome approach that believes that inclusion is really the key to life saving. So we want to make sure that everyone that wants to adopt should have a fair opportunity to. And we also believe in empowering pet owners to succeed through education on care and understanding the resources available to them. And finally, we take responsibility for the pets that we put out to the community, providing post-adoption support, guidance, and we will always take our animals back. Next slide, please. And this is the most important piece here, and really why I feel we are truly unique, is we maintain open admission policies. This means that we never turn away a domestic animal, and we accept owner-surrendered pets. Not all animal control facilities from counties do this, and if they do.
Second one on it, what's cane right now? Cane, like 2 months before you can even bring your animal?
Yeah, and so if there is a county animal control facility that is taking owner surrenders, there's many times long wait times, like Member Krajewski was saying here. There's sometimes breed restrictions. We don't take rabbits, so where do they come? They come to DuPage County. Or we see that they're not taking animals with known bite histories, medical conditions, or behavior issues. And at the end, this really leaves people very few options, which is why we, as DuPage County Animal Services, continue to see animals from out of county. Next slide, please. So we're really proud of that work that we do, and we set high standards for ourselves, and we are striving to be a leader in our industry. We have a couple short-term goals that we've identified that are going to be driving our operations in the coming year. First, we want to put resources towards developing a communication plan and tools to improve access to information and resources that can prevent bites, help people understand options so they don't have to surrender their pets, increase ordinance compliance, and rehome animals safely, even if that means people doing it on their own. We're going to continue refining our volunteer program to increase operational efficiencies and continue that high standard of care to our animals. We're working on creating community-based solutions to animal homelessness through new pet owner support programs, partnerships with other agencies, and expanding some field service programs. We've already started expanding veterinary care and wellness programming for qualifying residents, kind of building off our already existing low-cost spay, neuter, and vaccine program. And finally, we want to increase the type of communication and education we're doing around rabies license compliance so we can kind of establish this new narrative with pet owners and our veterinary partners that shows how compliance can be mutually beneficial to the pet owner, and the broader community. Next slide, please. So we do all of this work as a special revenue fund. We rely on our fee structure and the generous support of donors to meet these really high standards of service for people. The sale of rabies tags, which is when a resident gets a rabies vaccination and purchases a tag for their cat or dog, is where our registration and pet population fee lines come from, and that's just over 88% of our revenue. We've experienced a drop in sales during that shelter in place, but we're starting to see that those are picking back up as pet owners are seeking kind of more routine care for their animals. In fact, we're hearing that many of our veterinary partners are even pretty backlogged with getting people in, but it's encouraging that we're seeing those numbers go back up.
And I'll say just, the month of April, we were down 180,000 last year compared to 90,000 this year, so about $90,000 in revenue for that one specific month. But overall, year to date, we're only 45,000 behind last year. So it's picked up. The last couple of months have been more than prior year. So people are probably getting there. Plus, I think the vets are backed up. So I'm gathering that we're going to be pretty close to last year's number by the end of the year.
Yeah, if you look at the year-to-date current on the actual budget report, that was generated with a June 30th, 2020 close. Even in this last month and a half, we've already seen a $300,000 increase in our revenue. So things are definitely picking back up. The other thing I wanted to kind of just touch on is what kind of makes up all that other fee revenue. And that's really charges to municipalities that might be requesting our assistance with other animal related activities in their towns. We do rabies specimen testing that we'll charge our vet partners. And we do have some charges for other kind of low cost veterinary services that we might be offering through the shelter or on our vet vehicle. Other fees such as pet reclaim, adoption, owner surrender fees, we try to keep those low so it's not a barrier to people interacting with us when it comes to challenges with their animals. And we did see, as I mentioned earlier, we've had a 36% drop in intake this year already, but we have started seeing that pick back up again, but it's really not a significant part of our revenue. The rabies tax is really where it's at. But we're maintaining some conservative estimates for next year just to be kind of cautious. And then really donations and grants can really play a critical role in the work that we do. And most importantly, I think it speaks to the value that residents in our community place on the services that we offer. So we're really humbled by the support we receive, and we're going to continue working with DuPage Animal Friends to increase that donor engagement and communication. Next slide, please. So on the expense side, you'll see that staffing expenses make up the majority of our expenditures because really at the end of the day, people are what make our work special and help save lives and help people. Despite the increasing demands we're facing to meet changes both in our industry and the needs of our residents, we're going into next year with no change in headcount. And we've been really successful in staying nimble and efficient through cross-training of staff and because of our volunteer base. In 2019, over 250 volunteers logged almost 15,000 hours, which saves us hundreds of thousands of dollars each year. And they do anything ranging from animal care to even administrative support work. On the commodity side, most of those are expenses directly related to the care of animals. And we're going to see those numbers fluctuate based on our shelter population and to the degree that we're offering low cost or free services to qualified residents. And then finally, on the contractual side, a lot of that is our common facility operational expenditures, backup vet services, very similar to like what we did with Rosehaven for our exotics,
medical diagnostic work, rabies specimen testing, and the scanning of rabies certificates and software, just to kind of name a few. So overall, we've made some efforts to reduce our expenditures to kind of match our more conservative revenue estimates. And in the event we see a need to allocate additional resources towards whether it be wellness programming or retention programs, or if we see a really significant increase to our animal population, we're really grateful to be able to work with DuPage Animal Friends, and we have some good reserves on our balance sheet that we can draw from. But at the end of the day, we're really trying to stay balanced. Next slide, please. So we've drafted this with a conservative approach. I want to share that some potential negative impacts to revenue could mean, if we see lower vaccination and license compliance, significant increases to our animal population. But I think if you look back over the last few years on this report, you'll see that our department has historically operated well within or even under budget. Now, I think that's due to a couple different reasons. Unfortunately, staffing vacancies have made up a big part of that. We're in a kind of a very unique niche industry, and sometimes filling those positions can be challenging or take longer time. But our goal is to always try to be fully staffed. But the other thing most recently, which has been very positive, is that we've increased our efficiencies in collecting the rabies tag fees, both from residents directly and from our veterinary partners. So that increased efficiency in tag fees has been really helpful. And I want to also point out that despite the pause our volunteer program had during the pandemic, we have been slowly reintroducing volunteers, and we're committed to putting resources towards continuing that volunteer program so that it can meet our future needs and try to not have to increase our headcount. So I want to say thank you to the volunteers that really save us hundreds of thousands of dollars each year. And I want to reiterate our appreciation for the people that donate to DuPage Animal Friends, because they really help us do more for people and pets in our community. And thank you to the DuPage Animal board members for the work they do, being really good stewards of those gifts. And open any questions.
Well, just with our friends, again, I think through giving DuPage, we were either first or second fundraising.
Yeah.
And we won the one contest on whatever Sunday was it, Mother's Day, for most donations. So we got allegedly a Jay Cutler helmet. I'm not sure what
Yeah.
autographs. I'm not sure if we're going to do it. Yeah. So, wow. Somebody put that
on
up.
eBay for about $5.
Exactly. So yeah, they announced. So yeah, you guys
For a
won.
kitty litter box?
You won the Sunday contest that they had. Somebody put that up. But yeah, they've been truly a good partner. And we have going into this budget current year we're in, our reserves in our special revenue fund were about 2.2 million. So we do have plenty of reserves if something else were to happen. But we're, I think, sitting pretty good financially.
Yeah.
The one question I'll ask, and since Nick's here and we got Rogan in the room too, do we put anything in here, and what are people doing for the budgets now with regards to the change that Jeff's going to put through with putting through overhead costs?
We're still, we're still looking at that.
Because that's going to hit these budgets.
That will definitely hit these
Which will
budgets,
have a
special revenues,
effect.
absolutely.
And I know when Backfield used to do it, he was just going after, he had no rationale, in my opinion. He was just going after the ones that had money. And so if you had money in a special revenue fund, you got hit with all kinds of overhead. Rayfac went a little farther the opposite and just got rid of it. And now, as long as it's rational and it makes sense, and there's time that you've spent and our finance person spent, so I understand that being charged here. But I don't know how we're doing it with these funds, because we're approving budgets, but eventually something's going to hit it, which is going to throw them all out of whack.
There will be modifications to the budgets. And right now, they're calculating a fair, appropriate chargeback to those funds to account for some of the expenses, HR, finance, things like that, the services that are.
Sure, it
provided.
makes sense. I just want to know, am I putting 20 in here? Am I putting 30 in here? Just a number.
And then once we have those numbers, obviously we'll report.
Because I'd like to rearrange it. We're a little really conservative, in my opinion, on the rabies tag revenue, but if we're going to throw the overhead charge in there, then I may play around a little bit with something here. So I'd like to still have a balanced budget.
Understood.
And we balance this budget too in communication with DuPage Animal Friends. The last couple of years, they've given us an unrestricted grant that we can use towards operations, and we've accounted for that here to help balance the budget this year.
That was my other question. So we had the unrestricted, but is that $500,000 we got? Was that restricted?
We got just over $530,000 for restricted towards capital improvements for the building, and that sits on a completely different balance sheet than what you just referenced, which
So the 2.2 is,
that does
doesn't,
not include that.
okay, because I was wondering, I was looking for the restricted $500,000. So, all right,
Yeah.
so we got 2.7 with $500,000 restricted.
Yeah, just
Okay.
over half is restricted. That's your
This is what you
budget
sent
balance
yesterday?
sheet. That's the budget balance sheet
Okay.
for, grant.
For-
Balance
This is
sheet.
the grant, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Um,
so that's almost 600,000.
Now, we do get a couple other grants to fund. There's like a foundation coordinator that is part-time. So that'll be on that balance sheet because she just hasn't been working the hours that Friends anticipated she'd be working. So that carries over then typically.
So
to
this
the next
includes
year.
restricted and unrestricted.
Correct, yes,
Right.
yeah. But the capital is the only piece that is restricted.
Don, do you have a question?
Yes, I was wondering why is this formatted so different? Typically, I would have 2018, 2019 actual for personnel, actual for commodities, and it really doesn't have the same format that every other budget has. I'm okay that it's balanced, but it just seems to me we should have broken it down because I don't know what commodities were up, what
Oh, I see.
commodities down, what personnel was down, what temporaries were down, what was actual, what was projected, and you're one of the guys that always kind of question having a same format. I'm just curious why we didn't follow that same format as we have in other budget presentations.
You know what, in the last couple of years that I've done it, I've formatted it based on what I normally pull off of what the auditor posts. I know this year they did some new formatting in Oracle, which is the budget software that finance implemented 2 years ago, I think it was. And so I took direction from finance to make sure that I was providing all county board members with a budget format that should have been consistent across all departments. If that's not the case, I'm happy to redo it though and send you a copy that breaks out those commodities.
Brian, are you
and
happy with
contractuals.
the format that we had, or is it something that you would
Well,
like more?
The thing I like about this is we're actually, because you're taking the actual numbers off our audit report. Is that Bob, right? I mean, the numbers are, because the numbers that are coming on here are the ones from the audit report, where the ones that in these prior years are our system before the audit adjustments.
Well, the ones you're looking at a
Oh,
budget
okay.
time would be.
Okay.
I mean, even when
unadjusted.
we're doing prior years.
urgent.
Because I've noticed these are final audited numbers instead of, we used to get actual numbers, but it was actual county numbers before the audit adjustments.
Right, and we don't finish audit adjustments until, April.
Right, no, I understand,
Right.
but when we're going back historically, what Laura did was she put the actual audit numbers, the actual numbers
Right.
versus what we said were actual. Because we just used the historical actual before audit adjustments are in there.
I'd have to look at what you're.
It's really easy for me to break that down though. I'm happy to email a copy out to the committee.
I would like to see that if it's not that big of a deal. So if you
No,
could
it's not.
format it like that, it makes it easier to stay consistent with other departments and how their budget is presented.
Other questions?
Well, since we're on budget, how does COVID impact the efforts for the new facility?
Yeah, so I'm glad you asked about that because we've taken some of the key findings that came out of that study and we've been trying to work with DuPage Animal Friends to build on, start building that foundation for the capital campaign. But COVID has helped open our eyes to, what does it mean to be an animal services department that's truly trying to keep animals out of the shelter? And so there's a couple of things that we'll probably have to be revisiting, and that's, do the plans that we had originally drafted meet what we think the future of animal services is going to be? And then also 12 million was quite a large ask. And one of the things that came out of that study was that we didn't quite have that significant large donor base in our history of giving to support that size of a project. So as we're laying that foundation to start doing more fundraising and start building that excitement about what we do we need to scale the project back so that we can better meet what we think the future is going to be of animal services and what we think the community is able to support? And those are two really big things that we're going to have to be looking at. But in the meantime, we're trying to do a lot of that adopters group, kind of building that family of people that really understand that we are so above and beyond what other county animal control facilities do, and that we're worth supporting And part of why we've been also trying to build up a strong balance sheet is we know that we're probably going to have to, help support whatever that construction cost is going to be in addition to whatever donors are going to be giving us too. So COVID is definitely going to impact how we're servicing animals. And really the goal is how do we only take in the ones that truly have no other options? Yeah.
Okay, any old business, new business? Looks
I
like,
have a new business question.
okay, new business.
I'm dealing with a hen keeping ordinance and development this morning. And got a report from the health department about salmonella in backyard hens. So my question to you is, have you dealt with salmonella in any of your species that come through? And what can you tell me about that?
I mean, animals can get salmonella, dogs, cats, people, and usually it's probably more related to raw food, like raw dog food.
Okay,
As far as usually when we have had no positives that we've, we test periodically as far as panels for GI problems.
okay.
And we've
Not
not had
really
any.
seen it as an issue.
No, it's usually very profuse, bloody diarrhea and they're sick. They're very sick, yeah, and can be zoonotic to people, so. But that's one reason why we would not consider using raw dog food.
Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, without objection, we're adjourned. I think half our people left anyways.